Like the fire, feel the beat. Gday Gridiron can't be beat. Lift your knee and bring the heat. Press the MVP elite. From the outback through the field, we got tackles hard to steal. Catch the passes, make it real. Gridiron warriors never kneel. Gday Gridiron, down under and beyond. Gday Gridiron, hear the podcast come on strong.
G'day Aussie Gridiron fans, and welcome to the G'day Gridiron podcast, brought to you by the Aussie Gridiron Network, Australia's home of NFL and local gridiron content. It's the Week 10 reaction show with myself and Isaac, who's back for another round. See, after an overwhelming response last week, Isaac, all the boys loved it. They all said Isaac did so great. Apparently I don't get praise anymore, but you do. Well done, mate.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having me back on.
That's all right, mate. As I said, anytime. It's great that you wanted to come back on. So, very, very welcome. We've got a ton of reactions to go through today. Everybody has thrown out a whole bunch of reactions from all over the place. We've got reactions from Twitter. We've got reactions from the AGN boys. We got overreactions from our group chat and from Instagram. It's crazy, and it's exactly how we want this show to be. So if you want to get involved with reactions and overreactions for these post-week shows, you can check us out on our socials and hit us up on those links that get put up on the stories and reels that get put up on Instagram, and throw in your overreactions or your reactions, any observations you want. You can find all the links to that stuff as the AGN mothership. That is our Linktree /Aussie Gridiron Network. You'll find all our social links there. So you can get in amongst all of this craziness that we've got going on as well. And we can just keep growing and growing this list, mate. We'll have more and more to talk about. We won't be able to fit it into a show eventually. We'll have to actually make some choices on the better ones.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, so am I, actually. This week is sensational. I absolutely love it. We're going to kick off the show with a bit of sound from our old mate from last week, Darren Rizzi, Saints interim head coach. I absolutely love this guy now. So here's a little bit of something, just a bit of something from his press conference this week.
You guys know me. I'm a pretty open guy, so this is how my day started. I get down here to the stadium, I get down here to Superdome, I go in the head coach's locker room, which I've never used before, right? So here I am early in the morning, I go to the bathroom, and this is how my day started. I clogged the toilet. And I'm like, this is going to be a crappy day, pun intended. And so we listen. I'm like, okay, this is not really a great start to the day. Here we go. And so, I'm not really feeling like a head coach of an NFL team right now. So I'm like, really? This is really how we're going to start my day?
Well, there we go, mate. Crappy start to the day for Darren Rizzi. I mean, it's just the epitome of this show, really, and our entire AGN suite, for someone to just be a head coach in the NFL talking about clogging a toilet on game day. It's just we've hit peak NFL right now. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. All right, let's get into some actual Week 10 reactions and overreactions. The first one we've got off the board today is from the Twitterverse, something you hunted down as you were looking through Twitter for some craziness from people around the world. This one was particularly crazy, and I know you're going to have something to say about it. Panthers are going to beat the Chiefs.
Yeah, so searching through Twitter today, I found
Overreacting.
and we've got it straight off the mark. This is probably our most outlandish one for the week. I wouldn't say the Panthers will go on and beat the Chiefs, but I reckon they'll go on and have a better record than the Cowboys this year.
Because
I
Panthers
like
play
what
the
they're
Chiefs
building.
this week coming up, mate, and I don't know whether the Panthers are truly ready. Just because they beat the Giants, Jesus.
Yeah, I know. Um, is that right? Do the Chiefs have the Panthers or the Bills?
Oh no, sorry. A couple of weeks from now. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, it's the Panthers' next game. Sorry, I'm using ESPN, and it just comes up as next in the schedule. But of course, they're on a bye week this week, so
Yes.
it's the week after. But
Yeah.
yeah. So in a couple of weeks' time, the next game for the Panthers, they've had 2 wins on the trot. Someone reckons they're going to beat the Chiefs now, just
Well,
because the Chiefs go down to nail biters lately.
well, they'll have 3 wins on the trot because they've got the bye. So
We're not
the
sure that
Panthers
they're going to win against the bye yet.
the Panthers are going all the way. I just like what they're building in Carolina as well. They're building themselves like the Lions. They're obviously a long way off the Lions, but with a good backfield of Chuba Hubbard and Jonathan Brooks when he finally comes on. Uh, if Bryce Young can turn into a serviceable quarterback, they've got a good young core of wide receivers, and I think they'll be pushing for the wildcat spot next year.
Yeah, I like a couple of the guys there. I'm with you on Tuba. He's been a pretty decent dude for me this year. Fun to
Amazing.
watch, and he's come along. So, but I don't know. They've got a long way to come yet. They got to figure out. They got to figure out how to protect that kid yet, and get him in most of the time. I mean, he's played the last couple of games now, and he did pretty well. But it's still a long, long way to go. Definitely a
It's
long way
still
to
all
go.
running through Chuba Hubbard, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
28
absolutely
carries.
is.
So,
Yeah, yeah. Saul starts with O line. They need to find some O line. That's where it's
yeah,
going to start and end, pretty much.
go protect him.
All right. Well, that was a ridiculous overreaction. Let's see. I mean, the Chiefs have had a couple of close games, yes, but to say that the Chiefs, who are undefeated in the league after 10 weeks at 9-0, are going to lose a game to this Panthers team is a very, very big stretch. They have won. I think they've won their last 7 in a row by very, very small margins. That was something that came out this week. It was just like they haven't really blown out teams, and I get where someone's coming from after the Denver game, but they play badly. But that doesn't mean that they're going to keep playing badly.
No, that doesn't.
No, it's just a slump is just a slump. Yeah, it's if you can still come out on top even during a down week, then you're doing pretty well as a team, and that's definitely the mark of a championship team. All right, let's move on to the second one. This is from our old mate Josh. Josh Figures, who has been in amongst the Aussie Gridiron network and on the fantasy show this year and all around us and everything. I don't know. It's not really an overreaction, to be honest. It kind of is, but it isn't at the same time. Chicago Bears won't win another game this season.
And I agree with him.
It's
Their
hard.
strength of schedule is the hardest left in the NFL.
Yep. The
They've got
hardest. One out of 32 for the for that strength of schedule. It's insane.
yes, that's right. The Lions twice, Vikings twice, Packers twice, and the Seahawks. So, and the Seahawks aren't going too badly this year. So,
Yeah.
it's going to be a tough run. I think they'll get one against either the Vikings or the Packers, but that'll
I don't know. I don't think so,
be very
to be
hard.
honest. The biggest problem right now, just like we talked about with Carolina, they had an O line and they had a pretty decent O line, and now their entire O line and half of their backups, their second string, are all on the injury report. It's ridiculous. The injury report is just all offensive linemen. It's out of control for the Bears, and that's why things like first time a Bears QB has been sacked 6 or more times in back-to-back games since 1993. Caleb Williams got absolutely destroyed for the second week running. And also, failed to score a TD in back-to-back games for the first time in 20 years.
Wow.
Big sorry to our old mate Kev, who would be absolutely heartbroken. Everything's just going around and round and round, just revolving doors at Chicago Bears.
Yeah, poor. And like, it's not happening to a veteran quarterback either. It's happening to a rookie quarterback that's supposed to be generational talent, and he's
Yep.
just getting beaten up every week.
And it's not a one-off too for this franchise. It's just round and round and round. They had Mitch Trubisky, and he ended up with two regimes before they got rid of him, basically. So fired a head coach midway through, so he had 2 in 2 years. Then they had Justin Fields. He had 2 in his first 2 years in terms of head coaches and offensive schemes. And now we are very much trending like Caleb Williams is going to see the door on Matt Eberflus, and he's going to end up with 2 complete coaching schemes in 2 years again for the third time in a row for this franchise. It's woeful, to be honest.
Yeah, it's not good.
No, not good at all. And I feel for Bears fans. They'd been saying to the franchise that this was going to happen, and sure enough, this is happening. But yeah.
Yeah, and they started off really well, so it's a bit hard to watch your O-line go down. And
Well, it seems to be like they went into the bye with some really good momentum, and then they've just come out as this team. Like, what the hell happened in that week off? Because they had some great momentum, and they were looking good, and everyone was talking about them, and of course the entirety of the NFC North, and just how strong it was and how ridiculous it was. And then the Bears have just come out as this lackluster product that can't bring themselves to win a game properly.
yeah, and not even just not win a game, not score a touchdown at
Not
home.
score
It's-
a touchdown.
Yeah,
It's back-to-back games.
yeah.
Oh, man.
I mean, it'll be good for Caleb to get some adversity there, I'd say, and just start losing some games and then hopefully grow from there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the only positive I can see coming out of that.
Yeah, well, at least they're keeping him in there, so he's getting time. That's one of the big positives there.
Yeah, the risk you take there, though, is a major injury. If he's getting sacked 9 times, there's potential that a major injury could happen and he could be out for a year.
And things definitely don't look up this week, having the Packers come in to Chicago, and the Packers being massive favourites as well already.
Yep.
So that's not looking good for them there. Hopefully they can score a TD this week for those Chicago fans at home.
Let's pray for Kev.
Let's pray for Kev. And speaking of Bears fans, at Lonely Bears fan, hit us up with the Cardinals are legit contenders. They will take the NFC West and go on a run. Kyler Murray ends up in MVP contention by the end of the year.
Overreacting.
Calm down on Kyler Murray. But what do we think, Isaac, about the Cardinals being contenders?
I think I can see them making a run, but legit contenders, I think, is a bit of a stretch. It'll make the NFC West very interesting as the 49ers and the Rams look like they're coming good. Mind you, the Rams lost today to the Dolphins. And we can't count out the Seahawks. So in a tight division, these wins will become important. But contenders, I think pretenders.
Pretenders. Ooh. 49ers and Seahawks, of course, play this week coming. That's going to be a big game for that division.
Yep.
It's just whereabouts, how that sort of pans out for there, and we'll see a bit more of that. Cardinals go into their bye week, so they got a week off just to see how that pans out just below them in the table, and whether the 49ers are going to catch up to them in that game, or maybe the Seahawks are going to get a win and the 49ers are down a game still. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, well, it'll be a big stretch for the Seahawks because the Cardinals come back and play the Seahawks as well. So if the Seahawks get 2 wins, they'll look like they're on a run and going to contend for the NFC West. So A couple of big weeks coming up.
Couple of big weeks indeed. What do you think about Kyler being in the MVP contention stakes?
Well, I'm not too sure. I had Jared Goff up there, and he goes out and throws 5 picks, but still wins a game. You still got Josh Allen up there. Josh Allen's probably the front runner now after what Goff did. I wouldn't count out and Lamar. Sorry, forgot about Lamar.
Surprisingly, Lamar is just ahead on the odds betting in America. So BetMGM have MVP odds up constantly, and Lamar's at plus 280. Josh Allen's at plus 300. Kyler Murray is 10th in the betting stakes, plus 2,000.
Wow.
Is where people think he lands right now. So, yeah, not sure whether we can really call him in MVP contention, but I guess a few more big wins. I think he needs to really lead the team properly to a win. I think that's what you need to see. Like, he puts the team on his back and just drags them there.
Yep. Yeah, I feel the same.
That's what the others seem to do.
Yep.
That's the difference in that. And I guess that's the difference as well. Because by doing that, you also, I think, make a name for yourself. So people know your name enough to think about you in MVP stakes.
Yeah, and 10th is surprising. I don't know if I'd have him up that high either.
Sam Darnold's ahead of him, by the way.
Yeah, okay.
Not really. They're plus 2,000 as well. Derrick Henry's there at plus 2,000.
I mean, a good stretch here would really boost him in those MVP odds. And Marvin Harrison Jr., the second half of the season, being a rookie, will come good and get better. So that'll help Kyler as well.
Yeah, while we're on MVP odds, Baker Mayfield. It blows me away that Baker Mayfield is sitting 14th in this list at plus 4,000.
Wow. He's been playing so well.
Yeah, and he's also, as an individual, as Baker as an individual, is currently leading the MVP in touchdowns, and he has the second most yards. Or those two might be the opposite way around. I'll just check, but he's up there 1 and 2, like top 2 in both of those stats at the moment.
Yeah, and looking at the remaining schedule and the strength of schedule, they've got the easiest run home, 32 out of 32. So he could really make a push, I'd say.
So tied first for TDs at 24, fifth most yards at 2,505. I mean, and the QBR rating isn't great. I mean, he's got 9 interceptions in a year, in 10 weeks. So 1 a week basically for interceptions.
I bet the Browns, the Panthers, and the Rams are all looking back at Baker and wishing they held on to him.
So they should be, mate. Absolutely, so they should be. Because that's how it is. But yeah, it's crazy that he's that low in MVP odds. I don't think he should be at the top with Lamar and Josh Allen, but I just don't know about that far down the list, to be honest.
Would you have him above Kyler?
I'd have him above Kyler.
Yep.
I would have him. Looking at this list right now, it's Lamar, Josh Allen, Mahomes, Goff, Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts. So I would have him at or around sort of the Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, thing at 5. So plus 1,200 rather than plus 4,000. I'd have him firm up in there. So, yeah, ahead of Burrow, ahead of Darnold, ahead of Murray, ahead of Purdy, ahead of Stroud, ahead of Cousins. These are all guys that are ahead of him now. It's crazy.
Yeah. And I mean, your name sometimes, or your reputation, does that to you sometimes, that people have just already written you off. So you're not going in the MVP conversation.
I guarantee you we'll talk about that shortly in another overreaction. Yeah. All right, let's move on. Next one. At Drake's May. Great name. The Patriots are closer to turning things around than people realise. One good weapon for May in one round, like McMillan for Arizona. Address the line and secondary in other rounds, and free agency, they will be a force. A force. The Patriots.
Overreacting. Overreacting.
That is an overreaction. No,
I guess someone's looking forward here, but that is just nuts.
I think so. And I can't really say too much on it. I don't really have many thoughts on it, to be honest.
No, I think we could kind of leave that one sitting out there because that's a definite overreaction. I just don't know. I get what someone's saying. Drake May is really good. Drake May looks really good. You know what? Drake May has a bit of the Josh Allens to him. There's a bit of a dog in him. There's a bit of a bit of fight, a bit of muscle. That's what he looks like. But just, I guess the early Josh Allen, the one that took way too many risks and would just go nuts. So not this refined Josh Allen that we've got now, who can lead a team properly. But the early Josh Allens, that's what Drake May reminds me of at the moment. But the Patriots, I think, are a long way than just. I mean, when you say address the line, address the O-line, address the secondary, and all this other stuff. I feel like they've got to have wide receivers. They've got to go skill positions as well. They need so much. This is a 3 to 5 year project.
Yep.
It's not like we're going to fix all this next season and everything's going to be good. No way.
Yeah. Well, just on the Drake May and the rookie class of quarterbacks that have come out this year, my God, I didn't think it'd be that good at the start of the season, and it seems like they're all just hitting the right notes.
They are, actually. Yeah, it's really weird that they all are. I would even argue that Spencer Rattler was hitting some right notes at some point as well. And that guy definitely shouldn't have been in as a starting QB just yet. But it's crazy how they all are. It makes me sad to think what JJ McCarthy would have been like if the rest of these guys are at this level. Yeah,
that's right. It'll be interesting to see what happens when that eventuates and the injury gets better. Does he just sit back for another year, with Darnold going so well in Minnesota? And probably out of that rookie class, Caleb's probably the one that's not doing as well as he could be.
I think the original talk was that JJ would have been in by now for Darnold, like it was going to be after bye week or not long after bye week, so that he would be towards the end of the season. And I think the plan was let Darnold go at those other teams early in the season like he has, and make it good. But so it'd be interesting to see what JJ would be like right now. So.
Would you put him in? Like if he was healthy now, coming out of the bye week, what would you do if you were Kevin O'Connell?
I'll tell you what, there's a reaction here for that. So let's chuck in this overreaction because it is an overreaction. This one's from @SamWise. No, that's not the one. Further down, Ian. Further down the list. Where was I? @Sad Titans fan. Sam Darnold has turned back into a pumpkin.
Overreacting. Overreacting.
Listen here, you sad Titans fan. What really gets me on this is Sam Darnold's still playing well, and like we just saw a 3-pick game from Darnold. But to be fair, all 3 of those picks were while targeting Justin Jefferson, the best player in the park, who was in double coverage, which he's always going to be in, and the reality is those throws are designed to, even when JJ's in double coverage, is to throw to him and expect that he's going to get him out. One of those throws actually came off Jefferson's hands and ricocheted to an opposing player who got that pick. So that's the reality of that situation. It is what it is. It's 1 week. He didn't play great the last couple of weeks, but he wasn't terrible. And it's this weird thing that we do in the NFL where you were talking about it earlier with Baker, where you've already written them off just because of who they were. And we look at who Sam Darnold was at the Jets, at the Panthers, both basket cases of teams at that point when he was there. Absolutely not his fault that they were terrible, terrible, terrible coaching. We all saw it, especially at the Jets. It was Adam Gase era at the Jets was probably one of the worst I've seen. and the worst on record. It was just horrible. So, that's kind of tainted him in a way. And then now I don't know how, that sad Titans fan who was carrying on earlier in the season about the KOC offense and how Darnold would be amazing and the KOC offense was built for him, how it's you can't then he goes into a small slump, which all quarterbacks do at some point, all players do. They go into a down point in their season. They're long seasons for them, for professional players, and how you can't just let them play through that without suddenly just these kind of guys who we're talking like Baker or Darnold or who else, Geno Smith. As soon as they have a down point, everyone's just like get him out of the team, get him out, go to the backups. Whereas if Josh Allen plays badly, Patrick Mahomes plays badly, which he has been, we've seen that lately. Even Tom Brady played badly at some points in seasons, during seasons, had slumps. It was always like, no, he'll come good. They'll be fine. We'll just run with it. We just got to use other parts of the offense. So there's this weird thing here now where suddenly one game with 3 picks that weren't all his fault. That was just scheme and just the way that they were outplayed there. And then after those 3 picks, what happened? It went ground game. It went all, 10-yard throws and controlled stuff. And one of those picks, I'm still going on about it, but one of those picks was a 17-play drive. It was at the end of a 17-play drive. That tells me if you've gone 17 plays down the field that you're playing pretty well. Quarterback's playing pretty well. And it was just the wrong play call and the wrong kind of throw to a guy that was in double coverage, the best wide receiver in football, who should be able to get himself out of double coverage, but he was just outplayed. That's all that was. It is.
Yep. So I don't think he's going to turn into a pumpkin. His wide receiver calls are just good enough to make sure that he doesn't turn into a pumpkin. Like you got Jefferson, Addison, Naylor, Hawkinson's back now, so that gives him another option.
I think a few more weeks with Hawkinson there too. That's going to come better and better. Hawkinson had a great game this week as well.
Yeah, he did. And the Aaron Jones injury, I think it's just day to day at the moment. Injured his chest or something, so that hurts Donald. You got Aaron Jones or Cam Akers. I'd take Aaron Jones. So yeah,
we came back out there at the end of the game too.
There you go.
They carted him off, and then he was back out there. Yeah, so is it is. I mean, it was a chest injury, so it's only after absorbing a hard hit to the chest, basically, which it was pretty hard. It looked painful. It looked like he could have just been winded to start with, but he'll be questionable for this week. They might leave him out. It depends on what they do.
So he got carted off because he was winded.
I don't know what happened. He was on the sideline and he was running up and down the sideline, and then they just every time they want him to go back to the locker room, they just go, just get on the cart and cart you back there. Sometimes I think it's like, no, just walk. It'll look better.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I guess it is a long trip back to some of those locker rooms too. Vikings got Titans this week. Bears the following week. Cardinals after that. I can't see that there's too much more wrong here. They're pretty favourable matchups for QBs coming up through this stretch.
Yeah, I'm just having a look at their schedule now.
At Titans, at Bears. We are in this. This was the first week of a 3-game away stretch, so it's a bit of a grind. But this, at Titans, at Bears, then home with the Cardinals, home Falcons, home Bears.
Yeah, a rough last 2 games, but the Titans one will be interesting because their defense is playing pretty good at the moment. So it'd be interesting to see how Darnold goes against the Titans defense.
Yeah, that will be the interesting matchup this week. They do leak a lot of yards though, they're pretty good, but they still leak a lot of yards for some reason.
Yeah. Okay.
So, they gave. They only gave up 164 for Herbert on the weekend, but they've given up more than that at times. So if the offense can click like it did earlier in the season, then it'll be hard. All right, let's move on. Next one. At Jackson DeVille. The Texans are the fake ID of the AFC. Not legit, just masquerading as a football team.
Overreacting. Overreacting.
I love this premise that they're a fake ID, that it's just, they're fake. It's such a great analogy.
Yes, it is. It sounds a fake ID. Really good. Jackson DeVille. Jackson DeVille must have been listening to the pod last week when I mentioned that the Texans were one of the most overrated teams in the NFL when someone sent in an overreaction about the Packers being the most overrated team. Collins being out is a big difference. And as much as I hate to say it, Stephon Diggs being out there as well. That's two of CJ Stroud's targets gone. And then it doesn't allow for Mixon to do his thing on the ground, even though he has been playing really well.
Yep.
The remaining schedule will help for the Texans. The only notable teams they play are the Chiefs and the Ravens. They've got the Titans twice, the Cowboys, Miami, and the Jaguars, which should all be wins, which will get them to 11-6 and winning the AFC South.
Yeah, I still expect. I think everyone had them winning the AFC South at the start of the season. I still expect that to happen.
Yep.
The surprise has been in the AFC South was just how weak the Jags have looked when they shouldn't be, and the Titans are up a little bit, even though we all knew they had a pretty good defense. A pretty amusing Twitter reaction from today. Pat McAfee's show do a Overreactions segment at the end of their Monday shows with some pretty hilarious results. They used to do like almost an entire hour on Overreactions. It was amazing. Now they sort of cut it down to a few. But this is a pretty... some fans just crack me up. And this is from @TreyBacks on X. I don't want to overreact, but Bobby Slowick can respectfully suck both of my testicles. It would show more effort than the Texans' second half performance. It just got me right in the fields. Got me right in the fields.
Stop overreacting.
So good. You're right. The internet just gives, doesn't it?
It does. It's amazing.
Just gives. All right, next up, @SamWise. Mahomes' mum conceived Patrick with Gandalf the Wizard.
Well, Patrick does use his wand to win some games.
Well, Sam would know. Sam would definitely know. So he would have been there, just lurking around, while Mrs. Mahomes was getting it on with Gandalf. Yeah, he does.
Yeah. Well, did you hear the game where it was heard in the ref's mic that Mahomes was asking the refs to let him know when someone is close, so he knows he's going to take a hit?
I did, but he wasn't on screen when they heard that on a hot mic. He's facing towards his sideline. Let's just calm down on the ref thing. It has provided for some pretty interesting Chiefs refs memes once again. Every week something new comes out with that.
I know, and I love seeing it, but this is where I think the NFL is going to try and correct the narrative on the NFL doing favours for the Chiefs and winning games, and I think they'll lose to the Bills this week.
Yeah, you know what? The way that they've been playing, I think, and these two teams have been playing, this is a great game. It's a great, great matchup, and I think the Bills might actually take it to them.
Yeah, so do I. But this again will be when Mahomes and the Chiefs defense stand up and they'll probably win 31-10.
Probably. Absolutely. You couldn't write, honestly, it really is a script. Just the fact that Bo Nix can go for to like 22 or 30, 215 yards. Bo Nix, rookie quarterback, 2 touchdowns out of all that. And a rookie quarterback that everyone wrote off. Cortland Sutton with 70 yards, and they can do 215 through the air, 78 on the ground. They can have the ball more than the Chiefs. They can outscore the Chiefs, and do a game-winning drive all the way down the field. Should have been a game-winning drive to kick a field goal as time's expiring, and and then you get a blocked field goal attempt. It's just insane.
Yeah. Well, I seen something today on the internet saying 3 seconds makes a difference. And they were talking about the 3 seconds where the field goal went in and how Bo Nix would be feeling and how Mahomes would be feeling going, oh, we've just lost the game. It's down in the dumps. Bo Nix is probably on the sideline sitting there going, all right, I'm going to ride back in this plane. I'm going to be on top of the world. I've just beat Mahomes, giving them their first loss, and then blocked field goal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just insane, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
Really, really insane. It's crazy. 4 sacks too on Mahomes on the day. They had him. That Broncos defense had him.
Yeah, well, I've really been impressed with the Broncos this year. As I said before, the rookie class quarterbacks, and Bo Nix has been the biggest surprise. I thought he was going to flunk, but yeah.
But we now know Patrick is a wizard. You're a wizard, Patrick, and as I keep saying on our preview shows with Nick and Brad, the Chiefs are inevitable. They just feel like they are inevitable, and nothing that they can do will just stop. Nothing that anyone else can do will stop that Chiefs train.
Yep.
It's just the way it is. How about we leave you with one final nugget from Twitter/X, and once again, it was something that was featured on the McAfee show this morning. I absolutely loved it. This cracked me up on the way to work today. I had a pretty good laugh at it when they read it out. So I felt like I need to read this one out. Isaac and I need to have a good laugh at it with you guys. I don't want to overreact, but Jerry Jones is a worse owner than David Tepper. No O-line or D-line. Linebackers suck. Only have one weapon in CD, no running game. Dipshit gets asked a valid question about the Sun and acts like a moron. Eat a Hershey bar, Jerry, and sell the team. The Australian version of that would be eat a Snickers, Jerry, and sell the team, of course. But what an overreaction. It's not, it's so good. It's so Cowboys. How great has been the fallout from that CD Lamb sun in the eyes stuff with Jerry Jones.
Oh.
With the stupidity being that they have curtains for that window that they put up for concerts, for wrestling matches, but they don't put it up for the type of game, the one type of event that stadium was originally built for, and matters the most when it's played at the time of day when the sun would be shining through those windows.
And who's what's the Twitter handle on that? Was that CD Lamb's burner or Micah Parsons' burner?
Might be. It's Tyler Frazeni. So I don't know where Tyler's from. He sounds like he's definitely a Cowboys fan though. They're all a bit crazy these days.
At Brad Cummins.
At Brad Cummins. It very much could have been a Brad Cummins, to be honest. And I'm sure if we ask Brad for a bit of an overreaction about the Cowboys later in the week, that he will give us some absolute gold.
Yeah, I can't wait to listen to it.
Oh, it'll be amazing.
He'll get on one of his rants about it, and it'll be a 1.5 hour show.
It might be. We try not to get on to Brad about Dallas too much anymore. They are, of course, playing the Texans this week. So those two teams we've just been talking about are playing each other. This should have been an amazing Battle of Texas, but it's shaping up to be an absolute fizzler. And it's definitely not one of the games we are previewing this week with Nick and Brad on our flagship preview show. That's 100% certain.
If Nico Collins is back, this could be a bloodbath.
Yeah. Yes. They need to put the Cowboys just need to put Trey Lance in, to be honest, and just run with it. It's just where it
think so
is.
as well.
That's an overreaction, to be honest, but for most people. But he is Trey Lance. I think at this point looks like he's probably going to be better. He should be better than Cooper Rush. The way Cooper Rush played the other day, the old Trey Lance is better than Cooper Rush right now.
Yeah, just chuck him in. See if you can up his trade value. Just throw him in there.
Yeah, that's exactly what you should be doing. Exactly what you should do. And speaking of our previous show, Brad, Nick, and I will be back on Saturday to do some previews. We'll just pop in right now. I'll tell you we are looking at this week. Excellent matchup. The Ravens at Steelers. Going to be a huge game. We're looking at that one. Seattle at 49ers. KC at Buffalo. There's no way we're going to miss that preview on that game. And Bengals at Chargers. Those 4 games are what's going to be on the slate, as well as some great bloody best bets from the best bettors in the land, it would seem. We're running at 95% ROI right now, so we are flying high somehow. Fuck knows how, but we are. It is the best I've betted in a long time, and Brad and Nick probably the same, so we're all just capitalising on that right now.
Keep it running.
Yeah. Anyway, you'll notice no Gday AI for this week. The AI machine has decided to break itself. So who said that AI was going to be our overlords and our, the future leaders of our countries? Not just yet, because it can't even figure out top 5 storylines from the week that we're in right now. It was deciding to give me storylines from 3 separate weeks that have already gone, all in top 5 questions or top 5 storylines. So that was nuts. So I just nixed that, told AI respectfully that it needs to suck on both my testicles and do a better job. So that's where we're at. Pretty good show though. Lots of reactions, as I said at the top. Throw them in there for Isaac and I. Isaac, I think you're going to join me again next week, aren't you, mate?
100%.
Excellent. So, chuck them at us on the socials. You find all those social links at the Linktree, Linktree/Aussie Gridiron Network. Make sure you jump on there, like, follow, all that sort of stuff, and comment there. All of that actually helps the show. More and more you do. Don't just like a post, comment on a post for us. That all helps get it into the faces of many, many new people every single week. And likewise, the Aussie Gridiron Network and Aussie NFL Fantasy and Pastry Press Instagrams, all of those. Follow, just go and do that for everybody. Thanks again, mate. It's been good. Hopefully we'll get a ton more overreactions for next week.
Yeah, it's been really good. And, just want to give a shout out to everyone that gave us a listen last week. I chucked it out on my socials, and a few of my mates reached out and gave it a listen and said it was really good. So I appreciate you following us and subscribing, hopefully, on Spotify and Apple Music.
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. I do. We all appreciate it. So, get in and do that. And apart from that, on behalf of myself and Isaac, thank you very much for listening, and we will catch you next week for some more reactions and overreactions from Week 11. God, we're at Week 11 already. Who would have thought?
The Gday Gridiron podcast is brought to you by the Aussie Gridiron Network, a network of Australian podcasts bringing the fun and a little bit of the Aussie larrikin to the NFL and fantasy football. Check out our other amazing productions. Australia's #1 fantasy football podcast, the Aussie NFL Fantasy Show. Everything about the local game at Aussie Gridiron today. Manjot's Pastry Press on Instagram and YouTube, and Australia's very own Dynasty podcast, No Huddle Dynasty. Find links to everything at Linktree /Aussie Gridiron Network.